Hi, everyone. So this is Omar from Kite, and we're back once again with interviews by AirLyft. And right now we have Mitch from Forward Protocol. Mitch, it's a pleasure to have you on our platform, and thank you for taking out the time to meet with us.
Yeah, Omar, thanks. Really appreciate the invitation, and it really is great to be chatting to you in the community today.
Perfect. Mitch, could you just give us a little bit background, a little intro to our community members about yourself so that they can get to know you better?
Yeah, certainly. I live in Cape Town in South Africa, and I've been involved in the blockchain space since 2018. And I met my co-founder, Key, in about 2018 as well. And we started chatting about certain solutions and things that we saw were missing in the blockchain space. And that's how Forward came about. And we've been working together for the last 4 years on solutions to provide a gateway for people that are in Web 2 into Web 3. And it's been really exciting. I mean, Omar, as you know, the space, it moves fast all the time. And it's just a great place to be working and to be contributing to and to be a part of. So really happy to be here and to chat about the project with you today.
Fantastic. So before we waste any further time, I'm just going to jump onto the questions now, Mitch, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Please go for it.
Perfect. So could you tell us a little bit about your project to the community members?
Yeah, certainly. So what Forward Protocol is, it's like the WordPress for Web3. So if you imagine WordPress and setting up a website, I don't know if you're a developer or not, but I certainly am not. So if you'd ask me to code a website, there's no ways I could do it. I'd have to go and hire somebody to do it. And it would cost me a lot of money, and I wouldn't have the technical expertise. But in WordPress, pretty much you can go and drag and drop. You can go to the widget library. You can choose which sort of widgets you like. You can customize it. It's a templatized environment that allows you to create a website in a few clicks. And that's exactly what Forward does for Web3. So if you think about the people that are in the blockchain environment at the moment, you and I could have a conversation about blockchain, about DeFi, metaverse, NFTs, etc. But most of our friends, if your friends are the same as my friends, when we talk about it, they don't really understand it. So they might have a very superficial understanding, but it's complicated, it's technical. You need to, if you want to create an application, you need to be a developer. So what we've done at Forward is we've said, what are the problems that need to be solved in the value-driven economy? And then we've created smart contract templates that they know code. It's a simple drag and drop solution where you can actually go and select an application from the repository. You can download it. You can, choose which smart contract is applicable to your particular solution that you're trying to solve. And then you can, customize it. So it's basically the customization comes with just checkboxes like a form. So it's almost like a template form that you would have on your normal website in your business. And then you can deploy it to a blockchain of your choice, and that data will be kept in the blockchain. So it allows the functionality of blockchain for a Web2 user without them having to know how to code, without them having to be a developer, and probably most importantly, without them having to have the big capital that is required to build these applications and create the security and all the other pieces that make the functionality of a smart contract and make it work in this environment.
That's fantastic. A lot of people like myself, I'm not a developer myself, I'm a marketing person, but definitely, this makes it easier for a lot of normal people who don't have the technical expertise, to come onto Forward and do it.
Yeah, if you think about it, there's so much functionality in blockchain. There's so much functionality in what it could offer a normal business. And most business people, what do? They're busy hustling. They're trying to make money. They've got other things to concern themselves about without really getting educated and trying to figure out how they can build a blockchain application. And if you give them a toolkit that allows them to utilize the functionality in a very simple way, it creates a gateway for people. So as an example, like what we see in the future is somebody might have a a normal business and they have heard about blockchain and they've got a particular application. Let's say they want to incentivize a user to, take certain actions. And they've heard, okay, Ford's got a template. All they've got to do is go in and they can try it, and they can literally deploy it for free. And they can try it and test it and see how it works. And if it works, that's great. And if it doesn't work, they can, try another one. So it allows people to be creative. And we believe with that open system, with an open source protocol that encourages people to come in and test and try, we'll assist in, creating adoption and allowing people to enter the space without the very high barriers that are there now.
Fantastic. I mean, that's really definitely, it's a lot of removal of barriers, for normal people, because as you mentioned, like there's so many people in the Web2 space, right, who are slowly wanting to transition into Web3, and this definitely simplifies a lot of process for them. That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, and Omar, it's quite interesting. I mean, I think I don't know the exact number, but maybe between 200 and 300 million people are active now. They might have a wallet, and when I say active, they might have bought a little bit and what have you. But as that awareness grows, when there are 1 billion people online, the functionality for our Web2 businesses, we're going to need that functionality.
Of course.
And I think when you have something that's easy to use and you can download it in a way that you understand right now, it allows you to experiment and to try it. And that's important for businesses, because we understand and know that the functionality, the costs, etc., of blockchain is actually very affordable, and it can be very good for companies. So it's a good thing to encourage and to allow people to use.
Amazing, amazing. Now, I've read for projects coming onto Forward, the user transaction will have no gas fees. Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, I'll talk about it in two parts. So what we're doing when we list the token was we'll be having a token launch. And in that token launch, for example, if you came in with BUSD and you came into the smart contract, which is the initial value offering, it's called Go Forward, which we're using, that would be converted to Forward. And in that transaction, you wouldn't have any gas fees, because we'd have a pool of tokens that would be paying those gas fees. In a normal environment, when you down the track, when Forward Factory is deployed and we've got all the smart contracts integrated and working, you'd be able to gaslessly mint an NFT, for example. And the NFT, let's just say it's a certificate in an environment, an education environment. And I'm an integration partner, I'm an education provider with Forward, and I mint a certification of completion for a particular diploma or degree. That certificate can sit there, and the company or the institution that's actually offering that can elect to say they're going to pay the gas fee, or the person redeeming the certificate can pay the gas fee. So the gasless transaction becomes a function where the choice is given to the integrating partner or to the person actually utilizing that NFT to pay the gas. And obviously with Forward Chain, those fees are greatly reduced, because if it's on our own chain, it'll be fantastic, and we can utilize it in that way.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, what are the advantages of any application coming onto Forward protocol? What is your USP?
So the thing with Forward is that because we're an open source application, and we allow people to integrate it, as I said to you, in a very easy way across the sector, we'll have an ecosystem with thousands and thousands of businesses that are participating in it. And what that allows is it creates an opportunity for people to integrate with the partners. We've got over 100 partners now. It'll allow them the choice. So, for example, I think we've got 13 to 15 different blockchains that are integrated with Forward. So if someone came in and they decided that they wanted to deploy their application to an EVM blockchain, they can select one and they can do it. And in the future, it'll be Rust enabled. So you can choose any of those blockchains and deploy there. So we allow people the integration choice, where with the contracts that they are utilizing, they can choose which wallet provider to use. They can use the Forward payment, or they can decide to use another wallet. We don't determine or dictate to people how to run their businesses at all. What Ford does is we actually just create infrastructure tools, and we provide those infrastructure tools to businesses to utilize blockchain technology in their environments. And they choose how they want to use them. They set the fees. They control all of those functions just with a simple checkbox ticking. I want to use this, I want to use that, I want to set my fees as that, or what have you. So the advantages for a business that comes into the Ford ecosystem is that they have multiple ecosystem partners that they can integrate with, and they have that choice. We set up those partnerships for them. All they have to do is they need to come in and integrate, and they can actually utilize the functionality of that ecosystem and get the full benefit of the blockchain space without having to go and individually do that themselves.
Got it. Got it. That's amazing. Now, I read somewhere about your dedicated payment system called Forward Pay. Could you elaborate on this a bit more?
So Ford Pay is it's a digital wallet that connects to the user's Ford ID, and it allows you to store, to manage, to swap, and to trade all your different cryptocurrencies. It's connected to Ford, the fiat ramps, in and out ramps. And that's an important thing, because, a lot of people in the space now, and people that'll be coming into the space, especially if they aren't blockchain native, they wouldn't want to interact with a MetaMask or something like that. So the functionality will be there for a basic or an advanced user. And if you're a basic user, you can just select basic user, and the fiat on and off ramps will take care of the transactions for you. You won't be concerned about tokens. You come in rupees or dollars or euro, whatever it is, and the contract sort that out for you. Okay. And if you decide to be an advanced user, you can select advanced, and you can integrate with tokens, with Ford tokens, etc. So it's fully customizable for the user and for the user experience. And the Ford Pay is actually designed to create additional functionality across the Ford ecosystem. So for all the financial transactions, for the accountability, et cetera, for the storing of your tokens. So it's a very functional wallet that'll allow you to integrate with your ID and to access everything that the ecosystem's got to offer.
Understood. Now, further, when I dug into your website and your project, I read that you guys provide blockchain toolkits that connect the value-driven economy with ready-to-deploy, fully customizable smart contracts. So how do you plan to expand and build the developer community with this?
That's a great question, Omar, and I think it's a very important one, because we know that, including the developer community is vital to the life and the health of a blockchain and an ecosystem, because they bring ideas, they bring community, etc. So we have an environment called Ford Factory, and Ford Factory is where we are deploying our 5 smart contracts. And the 5 smart contracts are there for you to set and choose for your particular application. So a developer might come along and they might have a new idea, and they've developed a smart contract that they want to seed and put into that Ford Factory. And very much like WordPress has a widget library where an application can go in and they can select a particular widget to fulfill a particular need in their business environment, developers will come in and develop those smart contracts for different applications. And what that allows a developer to do is to set their own fees. So a developer can come in and they can customize that smart contract and say, for anybody utilizing that smart contract, whatever the value is that goes through that contract, we're going to set a 10% fee or a 5% fee, whatever they decide as their revenue model. And then obviously Ford has a small smart contract fee, which will be across all the smart contracts, which will be part of that fee that the developers do. But it allows a developer to create a business on the Ford ecosystem. And what it does for the actual community is it brings in fresh ideas, fresh smart contracts that can solve new problems in their particular business field. We're really excited about that, because I think the more developers that come in and integrate with the system and utilize the system, the better it'll be, because it allows more companies to solve more problems in a faster way. And the same sort of logic applies, is that when the blockchain market, the crypto market, has grown to 400 million users, there's more collective brain power. There are going to be better ideas that come out. We're going to solve better problems in a much more efficient way because of economies of scale. And the same thing happens with developers, in that we can bring them into that environment, help them to provide them with a place where they can function and they can develop toolkits, and then let the community actually utilize those toolkits and get the benefit from that, added brain power, that added development power.
Fantastic. Now, initially you had mentioned about WordPress. So you have a WordPress plugin directory based revenue model. Can you just explain a bit more on that?
So essentially, just like I've spoken about with the developers, is they'll have that opportunity to come and set their own fees. The way that the smart contracts work in the Ford factory environment, and I'm talking about from Ford side, not the developer side, is that each of the contracts are programmed to, when they're utilized, is to attract a fee. So that fee is either paid from a pool of tokens, which a company would have. So let's just say you're an educational institution or you're an e-commerce solution, and you have a pool of 5,000 tokens that are sitting there in your wallet. When that smart contract fires, it'll first go to that pool to see if there are tokens to pay the fees. If there aren't, the Oracle actually goes to the market and it buys that token from the market. And this is a really interesting part of what Ford does, because when you have thousands of contracts out there that are continually buying tokens from the market, it actually creates an inherent demand. And we believe that, once the ecosystem is mature and there are thousands of businesses out there, it helps to get away from a bear market. Because remember, what we're doing, Omar, is that we're not trading internally just with tokens. We're providing a service, toolkits, to the economy, which is basically a Web 2 economy, the massive economy that's out there, and we're giving them the functionality of blockchain. And to do that, those smart contracts, whether they know it or not, they don't need to know what happens on the back end. It goes to the market, or it goes to the pool, and it continually buys to facilitate those transactions. They're microtransaction fees. And that creates a great revenue for Ford, and it creates a great token appreciation for holders, because with smart contracts continually buying, it creates demand and buy pressure, and that's good.
Fantastic. Now, I read a little bit about your DRRS model. Could you just explain a bit more about that?
Yes. So as I said, we've got 5 contracts, and the first one is a proof of value. Then we've got a proof of value delivered, which deals with money. We've got a proof of ownership, it's like an NFT contract. And we've got an initial value offering, which is, it's like a crowdsourcing contract. Mm-hmm. The distributed revenue and reward system it basically integrates across all of those contracts and across the ecosystem. And what it does, it allows someone to create a passive income. So let me explain it to you like this. I'll use an education environment to explain it, because it's quite easy to understand. Imagine you're a teacher and you're teaching English, and you are very active in a Q&A environment. So you answer questions, etc., etc. And then once you finish there, you go and students come to you for tutoring, and you tutor those students. And then you've got a course that's running on a marketplace, and all of these products of yours, your activities happening within the Ford ecosystem. Each of those activities might be using different smart contracts. But what the distributed revenue and reward sharing actually does is it tracks the activity across that. So let's just say, for example, Omar, you are a student and I taught you. And that interaction is linked to my ID. And you go out and you go and get a job at one of the affiliate integration partners on the Ford ecosystem. We can track that interaction, and let's just say that job is worth $1,000, and the Ford platform is getting a 10% as a commission for actually, getting you the job placement. The integrating platform can decide whether they want to share some of that revenue with a teacher that actually taught you. Because we both know that the only reason you got that job is because somebody helped you through your learning process, through your education. And it allows people that are really valuable, that we feel are incredibly valuable, which are people like facilitators, teachers, tutors, that are training, not just in a formal education sense, but look at us across the space, across YouTube, across the web, blogs, etc. It allows them to really engage with the community, to give to a community, but over time to slowly build up micro payments where they can start earning a passive income from hundreds of students that they might have taught through their lifetime. And that gives a teacher a long-term vision where they committed to a teaching and learning process, because they know that they're going to be rewarded in micropayments as that student progresses and becomes an employee, and then gets another job and starts, building themselves up in the world of commerce and business. And the teacher gets a contribution back. And that's how that smart contract works.
Got it. Now, that's quite interesting, actually. Now, as you know, Mitch, like with a lot of development happening in the Web3 space, and now a lot of Web2 business domains from the education sector or the e-commerce sector, they're slowly, steadily, adopting a lot of blockchain technologies. Now, how is Forward Protocol trying to achieve the goal, of fast tracking mass adoption of blockchain technology, specifically in education and e-commerce domains?
Okay, so the important thing to know is that like the blockchain environment at this point in time is a very, very small environment relative to the global economy. And the businesses out there that are actively going about their daily businesses, they're not concerned about what happens in blockchain. What they want is functionality. So what we do is we provide them with that no-code interface, which is a templatized environment that solve solutions for them. So whether you're in e-commerce and you might want to mint as NFTs your product catalog, so you might want to mint 10,000 products and put them up there, or you're in education and you want to incentivize course completion. So you say to a student, if you finish a course and you've paid $1,000 for the course, on the completion of the course, we'll give you $200 back. You might want to incentivize that. So with those easy to understand, very easy UI that you can plug into your Web2 businesses, we believe that we'll create a gateway, because it allows people to interact with the blockchain without having to learn about it in a simple way, in a very simple, intuitive UI that they're using now anyway. It just gives them the additional functionality of utilizing Web3 and the toolkits that will, that are available and will become more prevalent as time goes on.
Understood.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. There's so much happening in the blockchain world. Definitely, I think in the next 5 years, it'll be amazing to see where we are at,
Yeah, it's incredible. You think about last year, how NFTs exploded, and then
definitely,
this year people are talking about metaverse and all sorts of things. It's pretty exciting. It's such a fast-moving environment.
It's an industry which sort of keeps you on your toes 24/7, because every hour of the day something new is happening, and slowly, steadily, I think adoption and the rate of adoption of blockchain is much faster than as compared to the rate of adoption of the internet in the early 90s when it was launched.
Yeah, I think I stand to be corrected with the numbers, but in the 90s the internet was growing at like 63%, and blockchain's growing at like 140% or something. It's crazy.
Absolutely. It's more than double the adoption rate.
Yeah, which is really exciting, and I think with yeah, I don't know if you know that expression, a rising tide lifts all ships. But it's a great visual of explaining how as you know, that compounding effect happens with adoption, and we're at 200 million now, and maybe in 18 months we'll be at 400 million or 500 million, and that'll accelerate. Is all of that feeds back into what's being created here, and it allows companies like yours, like ours, to actually create things that are useful. And give them to people to actually test, integrate, use, and that in itself, you know, creates more momentum in the industry.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with you. Coming to the last question, Mitch, could you tell our community members a little bit about the benefits of your FUSD coin and its, which is coming out in the Q2 of this year?
Okay, so firstly, what I'll do is I'll just go back a step and I'll explain.
Sure.
We've got two basic currencies within the ecosystem. The first one is our native token, which is the Forward token, and that's the token that will be listed, and that's the token that will be used for rewards, for governance, etc. The FUSD is basically an internal mechanism, and the reason we have FUSD is that when we're integrating with lots of different blockchains, they have other stable coins that they use, like USDT, BSD, etc., etc. So for us to maintain liquidity and all of those other stable coins would be very, very difficult. So what we do is we have an internal, mint and burn, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So if somebody comes in and pays in BUSD, we mint FUSD, and it's a mint and burn, and we utilize that internally in the system. So it allows us to be very, very functional, to keep the cost down, and to focus on our core business, which is creating simple to use, easy smart contracts, rather than trying to maintain, multiple stablecoins as more and more and more come out. And obviously, as we integrate with more ecosystems, we'll be integrating with their stablecoins in exactly the same manner, where we can get the utility out of it in a very simple way.
Okay, so it's basically a utility token instead of your main token, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, our main token is the Forward token. FUSD is just the functionality that we have to mint and burn against other stablecoins. So it's actual stablecoin in the ecosystem, and it's utilized in that way.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. I think that pretty much wraps up all the questions, Mitch. I want to thank you so much for your time today, and I hope this was a great experience for you.
Yeah, Omar, thanks, man. I really appreciate the invitation and chatting. And I think what you guys are doing is amazing. Honestly, the more people that are doing what you do, which is education and exposure, the better it is, because that really is the only thing that stands between us being a success in this industry and it really accelerating and creating adoption, and not is education. So well done for what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mitch. Thank you so much for your time.
Really nice chatting. Cheers.